Joining us now is JIhaad Suwaiti, with stories trending around the world. Hello, JIhaad.
Hello, Doctor.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. My best day of the week. How are you, Adesoa?
Very well, thank you.
It's good to
great.
Thank you.
Joining with envy.
Thank you. Rufai, how are you doing this morning?
Fantabulous. You are doing very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to you, viewers. We are starting what's trending this morning with this amazing story. Heart-rending images have emerged of a young Palestinian man who climbed onto the window ledge of his mother's hospital room, who was ill with coronavirus, to remain close to her during her final days. JIhaad Suwaiti was not permitted to visit his elderly mom, Rephras Salama, in person after she tested positive for the virus and was admitted to a hospital in the West Bank. However, that didn't keep the 30-year-old from visiting from a safe distance, of course, with a window between them, as he climbed a drain pipe to reach the perch every day to make sure she was doing all right. His brother, JIhaad Razmi, said his sibling remained stubborn and wouldn't part with his mother until the end. He spent most of his days there observing her condition from outside the window before coming down when he was convinced that she was fast asleep. A post shared by Twitter user Mohammed Safar with an image showing Suwaiti sitting on the window ledge of his mother's hospital room has been liked nearly 200,000 times. Now, when I saw this story, Doctor, I saw this already, so I just thought, you know, it's only when you are faced with, certain things like this that makes you remember your loved ones. When I was preparing this story this morning, I thought, once I get home today, I'm going to give my mom a big hug. The fact that I don't need a window between us to communicate, I can only imagine the love that exists between those two.
Indeed. And you speak to the psychological toll that coronavirus is having on family, friends, and loved ones. And so when you hear people say, this is not real, or they don't believe it exists, then you are pained. For many countries, family members were not allowed to physically say goodbye to their loved ones who were dying from the disease, and they put those stringent measures in place to limit the risk of transmission. Some countries are coming around that now. For instance, in Israel, you have to put on a full protective gear. In other countries, they are creating special rooms where people can say goodbye to their loved ones with barricades and all of that. So it just goes to show you that coronavirus has not only changed the way we live, it also has changed how we even say goodbye to our loved ones who are dying. Mm-hmm.
And in fact, in many other countries, even the burial protocol for COVID-19 persons, does not allow many family members. Yes. We've seen pictures of burials for people who died from COVID-19 complications being done via Zoom. And, you're absolutely right. Relationships have been affected, and these are emotional things. But in the particular case of JIhaad Suwaiti, the incident was in a hospital in Hebron, in Palestine. We always say that a mother's love is very strong. Yes. It's priceless. But what this story demonstrates is that of a son to a mother or a child to his parent, can even just be as strong. And this is, a very heartbreaking story about a child's attachment to the parent. The hospital took the precaution of saying all family members must not come to the hospital. But in his own case, he could not bear the idea of abandoning his mother. And as you said, he sat on that window ledge, which was on the second story of the building. And he would stay there just watching his mom until she fell asleep. And, in his case, he eventually lost the mother because she had a precondition.
Yes.
She had leukemia.
She had leukemia before she was diagnosed with COVID.
Diagnosis. And eventually, when he died, he was devastated. But what has happened now is that the entire world, a global community, is sharing out of his grief and seeing this as a prototypical example of how people are attached to their loved ones. May the soul of his mom rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Rufai, what are your thoughts about Mr. Waititi?
The undying power of love, and it's just amazing. I'll have done the same if it's my mom. I'll have done the same. I'll have, given anything to have that kind of moment with my mom. It just shows how much love that truly binds the family, and the fact that you're always going to be there. And I'm sure the mother saw him at some point and she will say, I'm so proud, this is my boy. I'm sure the mother died a happy woman, saying that somebody genuinely loved them and was there for them, even in their dying moments. And that's the essence of love. And this should be an inspiration to everybody out there in the world that still gives half-baked love. If you're going to love people, love them fully. If you're going to love your parents, love them fully. Forget what they've done for you, what they've done to you that you didn't like in the past. You know, because at some point you're not going to have them around. And trust me, you're going to miss them so much. You know, I'll give anything to be in that same situation. But this is love. This is love.
Without being pedantic, you know, the studies of the stages of grief,
Yes.
people go through different stages. At first, they will resist, and it's both for the dying and also for the relatives. You know, and you could see in this story, you know, he started grieving from the moment his mom died. I'm sure at some point he must have had hope. At some point he must have accepted.
Must have just been
and then later, you know,
a roller coaster of emotions.
Death, the reality will hit him, and you could see the classical case of how people relate to death and dying.
Yes. Well, our next story makes of the fallout of the NDDC probe that has made room for numerous memes on social media. However, Nigerian actor and comedian Kunle Idowu, popularly known as Frank Donga, has created a skit out of the back and forth between Akpabio and the House of Representatives Committee. The funny video has gathered thousands of views since its release, but more importantly, because of the question posed at the end. Let's take a look.
I just told you that we have record to show that most of the contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Wait, you were a member of the NDDC and lot of you were a member of the NDDC in the 8th Assembly, and are you telling me that lots of jobs were awarded to you as a member?
No, this is the problem. May I inform my honourable sister that is why we have to change.
Honourable Minister, please. It's okay. That is okay. That is okay.
Let me explain.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Let me explain.
It's okay.
Now.
It's okay.
You must not allow the two children
to have
the budget every year.
It's okay.
She
off your mic, Honourable Minister.
You are like me. I was a member like you. I did not know what was going on.
Honourable Minister.
Yes,
it's okay.
Yes, Chairman.
So you guys sit down. It's okay.
I mean,
It's okay.
the question at the end there, I don't know why it didn't show on that, but the question at the end is, what exactly is okay? Nigerians want to know. And you know what? Following the failure of the Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Akpabio, to produce the list of House members who obtained NDDC contracts, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, has announced that the House will sue Akpabio for perjury. Tweeting about this, the Speaker asked the Clerk of the House to begin legal proceedings as well as initiate a criminal complaint of perjury against the minister, in addition to a possible defamation suit. Now, one Twitter user said, "Your confidence when you issued the ultimatum, I understand, was that House of Reps members don't use their names. Okay, what of running through the contractors' accounts and seeing who was credited shortly after?" Another Twitter user said, "Your Excellency, sir, please issue the same 48 hours ultimatum to Tunde Fashola and the Federal Roads Nigeria on the state of Lagos Badagry Expressway. We need that kind of ultimatum too. People are suffering, sir." Another Twitter user says, "When it comes to money matter, contracts, NAS interests, you are all united to pass resolutions and take legal actions. But Nigeria's debt trap roads, failing hospitals, lack of highway ambulance services aren't issues of national urgency to you and your crew." Wow. That's definitely a mouthful. We've been following this story all week, from the actual, allegations made by the minister to the response from Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, and now this, because he's not been able to provide the names. So Nigerians are just wondering, what is going on? What exactly is okay?
That's the question everybody needs to ask. What is okay? It came across as the chairman of the committee who was presiding that day. He's actually the deputy chairman of that committee because the original chairman had to recuse himself. It came across like he was trying to silence the minister from opening the can of worms. But I think we should all resist the urge of the politicians this time around to gloss over the real issues of financial recklessness, and the malfeasance that we have seen and we are hearing from the NDDC. It should not be allowed to be swept under the carpet like other matters have. We want to know it's not okay. Well, we'll not turn off the mics.
Well,
I like that.
We know certain things as of this morning. First, let me start with the Ikorodu boys type video by Donga. That's like the Ikorodu boys.
That's their style,
trying to imitate and reproduce. Look at that there. Now, I mean, as you said, every incident in Nigeria seems to generate a lot of creativity. And the sense of humor that Nigerians, express on just about any subject is probably one of those factors that make us very resilient, because we're a resilient people. Even in the face of hard facts and very depressing news, we turn it around.
Yes.
You brought a similar one before, and then there are so many out there, including T-shirts that have now been designed. It's okay, Minister. Emblazoned, across the T-shirt. So don't be surprised if we see T-shirts in the store with the inscription, "It's okay, Minister." But you are saying what is okay. Well, the truth of the matter is that after the House of Reps Speaker, Gbajabiamila, read out the Riot Act and directed the clerk to begin to take steps to charge Godswill Akpabio, Senator and former governor, for pejury and civil defamation. The House then got a letter from him in which he eventually put off the mic, because that's what it means. You're saying, Minister, off the mic, off the mic. He has done so because he said he didn't say what he was alleged to have said, and that was practically misunderstood. And it looks like the House of Reps, the Speaker himself, is pleased with that. So you may not hear more in that direction, although many Nigerians will have imagined that a man of Senator Akpabio's stature, who had been a governor, who had been a senator, who is now a minister, if he's challenged and he has his facts, because the defense that is available to him is the defense of truth. So we're a bit confused. Cairo Ojuigbo, who is the director of projects at the IMC of the NDDC, he had gone on television serially to even mention names, to draw attention to members of the National Assembly that he said were complicit in whatever may have happened. Is it that the minister himself is not aware of those facts? Okay, he may have been misunderstood, he may not have said certain things, but what is he aware of? What does he know? Does it mean that he as minister does not have access to the same facts available to his director of projects? Yes. So those are the additional questions. But as I said, he has literally switched off the mic for now.
Rufai, Nigerians want to know what exactly is okay.
There are many things that are not okay. I can tell you for free. Let me start with the House. The House saying they're going to take the minister, Godswill Akpabio, to court because the minister cannot definitely provide the names during the ultimatum. I also want the House to beam their searchlight on Cairo Ojuigbo. Maybe if the minister can supply, maybe Cairo can supply. Because Cairo has consistently said this, even on television and other forms in the media, about these people. And I also probably, want the Speaker of the House.
Sorry to interrupt you,
break time?
Rufai. Yeah. Yes, we need to take a break now. When we return, we'll come back to you. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Still watching What's Trending with Shaitan Atigari. But Rufai, back to you.
So at first I said Cairo Ojuigbo. Maybe the House too should give Cairo Ojuigbo some ultimatum, because Cairo seems to know quite some things. And also, probably, maybe they should also look at Mr. Kolawole Johnson's deposition and see if we can look at this. But I don't just, because there are many things to it. If the Honorable Mr. Godswill Akpabio says, oh, I wasn't talking about them, he can't submit facts, it's understandable. He was part of, the Senate. He had been a lawmaker in this country at some point, and these people are still his colleagues one way or the other. Because don't forget, it was these same people, not the House of Reps, I should say anyway, but the members in the Senate, and his colleagues that told him that take a bow when it was time for his ministerial screening. So he might not want to, frail feathers, because these are the same people, and you never know, maybe when he comes out of this position, he might still go back to the Senate. But most importantly, let's ask people that have information for this information. Let's ask people like Kolawole Johnson that are doing good forensics and are tracing and say, okay, can you also give us this information? It's not for anything, just to be able to uphold transparency in this country. So I want to see the next someone, probably to be Cairo Ojugbo. And let's ask Cairo Ojugbo, some of the lawmakers are doing this. Then if we can have another naming ceremony, really.
Yeah.
Just my point of view.
Definitely, I agree. Transparency is definitely key, Doctor.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Okay.
But I don't imagine that the lawmakers themselves will facilitate, that naming ceremony.
Yeah.
Particularly if they know that Cairo Ojugbo will supply the facts.
All right, then moving on to our next story. A 10-year-old Nigerian girl by the name of Emmanuela Oziofu Mayaki from Edo State, Adesuwa, shout out to you, has been hired to teach coding to pupils in her age group in Southfield Primary School in the United Kingdom. Emmanuela is an avid lover of technology who, at her young age, has gained significant knowledge in the field. According to Face-to-Face Africa, she will be responsible for teaching other kids her age about the basics of coding, including HTML and CSS. The school selected her for the job because of her extraordinary skill and knowledge in the area. Now, when I found this story yesterday, the first thing I did was I went on YouTube and I Googled coding for beginners. I said, okay, if a 10-year-old can do it, I should be able to do it. And after about 10 minutes of watching, I gave up. I'm going to stick to my day job. Then for someone to be doing it at the age of 10 just blows my mind away.
Indeed, moments like this make you proud as a Nigerian. When I was 10, I think I was just about getting into higher secondary school. And I didn't know what coding was. I've never had
secondary school at 10?
Yes.
That would be junior secondary school.
JSS.
Junior secondary school.
Okay, we're wondering that. Okay,
sorry, junior secondary school. Yes. So I've never heard the word coding back then. Just to see that this 10-year-old is doing this is fantastic. I'm proud as a Nigerian. It's not just because she's from Edo State, it's because of what she has and what she's doing. And it points to the fact that there's more to Nigeria than unsavory associations such as email scams, oil spill, poverty, hunger, death, and charlatan religious and political leaders. It also reminds me of Tani Toluwa Adewomi. I think he was 8 when he caught the attention of the world almost this time last year as a chess champion.
Yes.
He fled the Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast of Nigeria to go and become that world chess champion. So my prayer and hope is that at some point, at some time, if we do not get it right, I have faith in this generation of Tani Toluwa and Emmanuela, that perhaps they will find it honorable to come back home and help us.
Yes.
There are many more. Many Nigerians who are doing very well out there, either at NASA or at some other international research institutes, or who are excelling even in politics or in medical practice or in research. And it tells us something, as you pointed out, that with all the negativity that we have at home, there are certain shining lights who draw our attention to the enormous talent, human resource that is available in Nigeria. But the challenge we've always had is how to manage our human resource, how to develop Nigeria's human capital so that we can have, great stories like this about Emmanuela, who is like an Einstein, of her generation. But another thing that I would like to point out about her is as follows. She's actually homegrown. When she started learning coding, she was 7 years old. She was a student in one primary school in Benin City. This same Benin City, your Benin City, called the Fortune Schools. And then she enrolled with this Micon Technical Institute, where you see the diploma. And then she ended up at the age of 9 getting a diploma
Wow.
In a whole range of coding, applications, HTML, Java, Python, all of that, at the age of 9. Then, of course, later she got more qualifications from another school again in Benin, Complete Computer Institute in Benin City. And if those institutes, if they are listening, I think they also should be congratulated on this achievement. But of course, she now relocated to England with her parents, where I guess she will have better opportunities for realizing her potentials. If she was just 9 years old and she was still in Nigeria, with even all those qualifications, nobody would have paid attention to her. This is the kind of environment that we have. You know, who was that? Akim Olajuwon. I think that's his name, the basketballer.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I used to joke that if Olajuwon had stayed back in Nigeria, he would have been a joke around the neighborhood. Everybody would have been referring to him as Long John. They would have been calling him names. But he went to a place where there is an enabling environment for the nurturing of talent. We congratulate Emanuela and her parents, and we hope that the Nigerian government will take a lesson from this. Nigeria should not become a provider of talents for other countries. We must have an enabling environment to capture talents, either from a young age or when you become adult or when your talent begins to flower. But all good things, Nigeria tends to suppress them.
What about you, Rufai? What were you doing at the age of 10?
Okay, I mean, I wasn't coding at the age of 10, but I was doing other very interesting things in my life at the age of 10. But most importantly, I'm very happy, but I'm not surprised. So we have a big resurgence as regards technology appreciation skills. So I mean, I used to be part of an education consult at some point that would deploy coding training. And you need to see boys of 6-year-old developing apps, games, you know, things like MIT App Inventor, Java, Kodu, Scratch, things like that, developing games that were selling. In fact, one of the youngest boys I had seen was at the age of 6, Emmanuel Alarakpe, a very young guy, and he had developed his own game using the Microsoft platform then, Minecraft, you know, to be able to code and develop his own game. So we have a resurgence of that. There are many places where you can learn. It's very easy to learn. The most important thing is it gives you skills for the future. That 10-year-old girl you're seeing can actually hold a job down in the UK. Because most times in the UK, they will not ask for a university degree. But that's a very important degree to be able to code, desktop publishing, and the likes. And it's very important. So for our young people in this country, that's one other thing we should be able to support. I'm also very thrilled and excited about the job of a very good friend of mine, I forget her name now, that was taking coding to indigent pupils in Makoko. She was featured on CNN, and she's done quite well. I think she even won CNN Heroes, or she was nominated for CNN Heroes. So that's to show you the great work they're doing. But a lot of young people that are crying there are no jobs and things like that, we should be able to develop skills like this for them, because that's the skill you need really in the workplace. And that's what Andela is doing pretty much, getting people ready for the skill in the workplace. Because the skill of the workplace now are really computer-based. You need to be able to write computer language, do some level of analytics and desktop publishing, because these are the things that keep you in the workspace. You can't work today if you don't know how to use Excel, Microsoft 365, and the like of tools like that. So it's about learning tools like this. And it's something everybody should embrace. Shayito, let me tell you something. You can do it. Put your mind to it. You can start small, and you'll be able to do it. It's amazing. I mean, I tried my hands on Ruby on Rails. Despite the fact that a lot of people complain about Ruby on Rails, I could get one way further on Ruby on Rails now by just, you know, developing the skill and being able to be in that space. So good work. Kudos to her. She can only do so much better, and I'm happy that our talents have started to blossom in the UK, and I want it to be better. This is not the first time. I mean, I think it was Professor Mafidon's daughter in the UK then that had one of the titles to finish school on time, and she did quite well, I think, in Oxford. She finally went to Oxford. The Mafidon's daughter, she set up her own business now. So it does appreciate talent. Nigerians too should look inward and develop what we have and put these people back there.
Thank you, Shaitan.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next week.